This might be one of my favorite Viltrox autofocus lenses from the Air series so far. It's the 35mm f1.7. The autofocus, the sharpness, and well, almost everything so far has been great about this lens. So hi there and welcome back. Today we are looking at this little nugget, which is a brand new prime lens from Viltrox. It's the 35mm f1.7. Now it's an APS-C lens from the same series as the recent 56mm f1.7, and it's currently available for Sony E-mount, Fuji X and Nikon Z. The price should be around 179 US or 199 euros, which in my opinion is an absolute steal, and you'll see why if you watch this video. All the samples and tests in this video has been shot on my Fujifilm X-T4, and I will do my absolute best to include as much sample footage here as possible. After all, I've been using this lens for 2 months, brought it on travels, used it for BTS and on shoots and off shoots, so I've got a lot of things to show you. The barrel is made out of plastic with no controls on the barrel itself except for the focus ring, which actually feels really nice and smooth with a decent amount of dampening. I would give this a 9 out of 10 on the focus by wire category. We've got a 52mm filter thread here at the front, and if we remove the rear cap, we also got a USB-C port for firmware updates, and you can actually store up to 2 megabytes of data on the lens itself, which I think is pretty cool and might come in handy when you least expect it. And despite the low price and weight, it doesn't feel cheap or plasticky. Okay, since we're doing both video and stills, I don't have the lens hood, so I find myself having to kind of shield the lens a tiny bit with my hand, which is perfectly fine. So here is just the bare lens with the ND filter, and if we go ahead and give it a tiny bit of shade like this, we get much more contrast and saturation. We can even go a bit lower on our ND filter, like so. So overall, I haven't had any major issues with flaring and veiling in kind of normal shooting conditions or when shooting towards light sources like this. And to give you an example of just how bright the sun was, these two are done just seconds apart on 2 different lenses, and the 35 just holds up so much better. We've got 9 aperture blades in here that gives us a pretty nice looking bokeh for the 35mm f1.7. It's not overly fuzzy or overly busy or anything. I think it looks pretty good. The minimum focus distance is 33 centimeters or about 2.8 cheeseburgers for you Americans. Close-up shots at minimum focus looks really nice and sharp, even wide open. There's plenty of grain structure here in the box and the cardboard, and as we circle between f-stops you can look at the bokeh balls here in the back as well. There's some lemon shaping here at the corner, but nothing that I would get overly dramatic about. In fact, call me weird, but I kinda like those lemon-shaped bokeh balls here and there. So the autofocus performance is actually excellent, even if it may look a bit sloppy to some Sony shooters out there. But hey, we're shooting this on Fujifilm, okay? Now, speaking of autofocus, here's a quick little autofocus noise test, and it's not 100% quiet, but I had to boost the signal by 12 dB in order to pick it up in my headphones. And there it kind of sounds like Donald Duck on the phone or something. If we take a look at focus breathing, there's very little focus breathing on this lens, and that's usually the case with Viltrox lenses, and why I usually recommend these for video shooters and hybrid shooters. There's so little focus breathing there that it's basically nothing. Okay, let's look at the lens charts. So lens corrections and sharpness is obviously turned off, and at f1.7 we get a nice even sharpness and decent contrast across the entire frame. And I actually can't see any signs of chromatic aberration in this shot whatsoever. Since Viltrox rolled out their new Pro series, and even in these more affordable Air series lenses, they all seem to have ED elements to correct for any chromatic aberration and that sort of stuff. And this 35 obviously seems to be no exception. Now, stop down to f2.8 and we get a bit more crispiness across the frame. Same here at 5.6 obviously, but it's kind of good to know that you can shoot with this lens wide open without having to worry too much about sharpness. At f16 we are getting a bit soft here again thanks to the laws of physics, but overall the optical performance of this lens is pretty amazing. If we look at distortion and vignetting, there's not a whole lot to complain about either, well, apart from some vignetting, which is kind of the least thing to worry about these days. And as always, it lightens up as soon as we start stopping down a bit. So maybe I've said this before, but it kind of feels like Viltrox has caught up with the big boys, even with these more affordable Air series lenses that seems to be over-delivering in almost every category. So whether it's for stills, video, or the occasional espionage mission, this lens will do a great job at all three. So thank you so much for watching. I will put links down in the description to all the different mount options available, so use those if you want to support this channel. Thank you so much once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!